What's up guys, Manny here, welcome back to the channel. In the last episode, I talked about why a van is way better than a pickup. Now, which got me thinking, because I did mention the Nissan D40 pickup, which I had one before. And that is going to be today's topic, and what are my thoughts and opinions about that specific truck. Alright. Prior to me having this Nissan Urvan, I was driving around town in a 2012 Nissan Navara D40. Now I know in other countries, especially in the United States and in Europe, it's called the Frontier D40. But here in Southeast Asia, specifically here in the Philippines, it's called the Navara. Or should I say Frontier Navara D40. Now the version that I had was powered by a YD25 turbo diesel engine, which is exactly the same engine that is here in this Nissan Urvan. Now, I'm not going to talk about, the specs and the performance numbers and blah, 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 because we can always, search for those on the internet. But here's what I have to say, about the engine, about the D40, or should I say the YD25. It has proven to me that it is powerful, it's reliable, and it's somewhat, fuel efficient, because I could, attest to that, because, I drive this Urvan every day, and on a weekly basis I do a full tank, and my tank of diesel, which is around 65 liter capacity for this van, and which is also the same for the D40, my fuel would reach up to 10 days. And with the driving situation that I have here, where it's traffic all the time, and it's stop and go, so I tend to be staying more on the lower gear, so that is taking a lot on the fuel consumption. It's very rare for me to go on the higher gears, let's say 4 and 5, because this is a manual transmission. And for me, 10 days of full tank of diesel, that's pretty decent already in my case, right? So the power is there, it's very torquey. It's also very manageable, not like in other pickup trucks or other diesel vehicles that I used to drive, where it tends to be very jerky and very abrupt. In the case of the D40, it's very smooth. Now it does come, although yeah, it's smooth, but I do find it also a bit annoying, especially at first, because since it's so smooth, I tend to be stepping more on the gas before releasing the clutch. Not like in other vehicles where you just simply release the clutch and then boom, you go. So yeah, power is there, torque is there, it's got decent climbing capabilities, especially on uphill roads. This one, it also depends also on the chassis configuration of your vehicle. Now for the D40, we'll just call it the D40 because it's again Frontier in the US and some parts of Europe, and Navara, here in the Asia Pacific regions. So in terms of driving comfort for the D40, I really like, the fact that the D40 has one of the better seats that I've experienced in an SUV, not SUV, in a vehicle in general, because the seats are, thickly padded. They're thick, they're juicy, and again, they're very well padded, and you can tell, in the D40's seating, the quality was, thought of. Although the one that I had, had plain fabric covering for the seats, but it was very comfortable. It was very plush, and it didn't feel like it would sink, anytime soon. Not like in other cars that I've driven. Hell, even here on the Urvan, the seat is kind of thinly padded, and the driver's side is already starting to deform, after 5 years of using this. In the D40, take note, it was a 2012. I had it in 2018, and then I sold it late 2019 for a Montero Sport, which we're going to talk about in another video, by the way. So anyway, back to the topic, D40. Again, the seats. And for the size of the D40, for a pickup truck designed and built back in the day, it was released somewhere mid 2000s, and production for that body or that vehicle was stopped production or selling here in in the Philippines or Asia Pacific. I think it was around 2015 because then the new Navara came out. Now for that body, you know, space was very generous. It had lots of headroom, shoulder room, and it had really big windows. Like for the driver, you know, for the front windshield, it was so huge, you can see everything, you know, around you, and there were very minimal blind spots, at least in my opinion. Okay, now that is something, you know, that is from a guy who has eyeglasses, who's visually impaired, talking about blind spots. Passenger legroom at the back was very generous also because so, I believe it has something to do with the fact that the design of the D40 was very squarish. It was very very simple in design, you know. It's like nothing really fancy in terms of, you know, body styling and shaping. It just looked like that, you know. The moment you see it, it's easily identifiable as a D40. It was a truck. It was blocky. It was surprisingly very roomy inside, and that was one of the things that I really liked about the D40 also. In terms of the dashboard, you know, the interior, it is very simple. If you don't know me, you know, I do not fancy gadgets and fancy curves and lines in any vehicle. I prefer something simple and functional, something very Spartan. So the D40 had that. It was very functional. It was very clean and simple to maintain, and plus it had beige interiors. The one I had beige dashboards. It had beige seats. Seats was kind of hard to maintain though because, you know, color, but you know, I managed to fix that, you know, by putting on like seat covers to make it like leathery, make it look a bit more luxurious also. In terms of driving comfort, you know, it was probably one of the best also. I'm not sucking Nissan's dick, alright? Okay, I'm just, you know, telling you my thoughts and opinions because one of the reasons why I chose the D40 when I was in the process of getting that was the ride quality. It was powerful, yes, for here, but the ride comfort was way better than any other truck that I've ever driven. I've driven a D-Max before, like an SUVs. Like I've driven like a Fortuner. I've driven a MUX from Isuzu. During that time, we had a Ford Ranger 2017 XLS with a 2.2 liter turbo diesel. Yeah, Isuzu D-Max with a 2.5 diesel. And prior to that, my previous car, you know, before the D40 was a 2002 Mitsubishi Pajero Fieldmaster, or the Pajero 2.5. For me, the D40 had the best ride quality among all the vehicles that I've ever driven, even in brand new cars, you know. Compare the D40 to a brand new Fortuner. Tell you, the D40 will blow away the Fortuner or the Hilux out of the pond. For me, the Toyota suspension is like really crappy. D40 suspension, despite having a leaf spring suspension at the back, which is meant for carrying heavy loads, the ride quality was way better than any of the other pickup trucks I've ever driven. One of the reasons why I really liked it, because the air conditioning of any Nissan is probably one of the best in the world. I have no complaints about the air conditioning of the D40, even if you just put it at, you know, fan speed setting at 1, or, you know, put it in the max thermostat, or maybe even halfway, or like 3/4 of the way, you know, to being like the coldest. It is amazingly cold. So, you know, on a hot day, well, here in the Philippines, you know, it's always hot. You know, there's no such thing as a cold day, well, except maybe when there's a typhoon or a hurricane. Then, yeah, the Nissan's air conditioning is probably the best, you know, in my opinion. It's only recent that Mitsubishi and Toyota was able to go up, you know, head to head with Nissan's air conditioning. So as is stock, again, ride quality was awesome. Cabin space is great. The as is stock, you know, the D40 is probably the lowest, you know, pickup truck that you can buy today. Well, not today because it's not sold brand new, but in the pre-owned market, right? It's like super low. It's close to that of a sedan, and that was the only thing that I didn't really like about the D40, because yeah, it handled really great. In twisty roads, you can go faster. Take corners aggressively with that suspension setup. And again, the ride quality was amazing. Stock. Now that was the only downside that I considered for the D40, because here in the Philippines the roads are filled with potholes, and then here where I live, here in Cebu City, there are areas here that are prone to flooding. Just 10-minute rain or 30-minute downpour is enough to flood major streets in the metro. And that was the downside of the D40 in its stock trim. Towards the end of my ownership of the D40, I did a few things to it to make it better, make it look better, function better also, because I was at the point in my life that, since I have this D40, it's such a shame, I have a cool pickup truck and it looks kind of low, so why not lift it up? So that's what I did. So the D40 responds really well to a quick lift. Like, not a full-blown suspension change, like change the coil springs at the back to something longer, or change the shocks at the back. No, all I did was add a quick lift kit. And so a quick lift kit comprises of coil spring spacers. That was like 2 inches for the front, and in the rear I didn't do much about the suspension. I simply added a extended comfort shackle. So when that was installed, I noticed a big improvement in ride quality, especially over potholes or big bumps on the road. And it was actually a very good upgrade. Although these were just simple bolt-ons, but they did transform the D40 into a really cool. It had a better stance, and it looked way better compared to stock. On top of that, I changed the stock tires, because stock tires of a D40 are really tiny for a pickup truck. Stock wheels were like 16-inch, and they were like 16 by 7, for the width of the rim. And the tires were kind of smallish, so they were like only 245 by 60. Yeah, 245 by 60, 16. And they were really tiny. They were really tiny to look at. So, it really, having a smaller tire is not really that bad, because the acceleration, you can really feel the acceleration on the D40. Lesser rotating mass, it can turn faster. Well, but what I did was I changed the stock tires to something bigger. I went for 265 75 16, so that is approximately 32 inches, circumference. So one circumference. Yeah, and they, with a quick lift, it really matched the new stance. Also, what I did, after that, when I added the tires, because I noticed a bit of rubbing in the fenders already, and I was itching to make the D40, look a lot cooler. So what I did was add a body lift, 2-inch body lift. I could have went with a 3-inch body lift, but nobody wanted to do that on a D40 because there might be some adjustments. But anyway, I went with 2-inch body lift using polyurethane, industrial plastic. That's what they use. And it also added a lot of benefits, because there was lesser vibrations, there were lesser noises as compared to bolting on the body to the frame directly, or using steel spacers for the body. It was polyurethane, so the polyurethane absorbed a lot of the vibration. So overall it improved ride quality and ride comfort, and also noise in the cabin. Alright, so one more thing that I really like about the D40 is the fact that it's made by Nissan. So it's a quality product, it's a quality vehicle. But since here in the Philippines, or should I say worldwide, Nissan does not really hold up in terms of value as compared to other brands, let's say like a Toyota or Toyota. Toyotas are extremely overpriced in my opinion. So you get like value for money, especially in a pre-owned market. If you could find yourself a 2012 or let's say a 2014 D40 Chrome or Tech Extreme. You know, those were the top of the line back in the day. You can find those for as low as 600,000 pesos. Or if you find a standard version like a LE version, which the one I had, which was a 4x2 automatic, you can find those for as low as 500 or 400 depending on the condition. But of course, you know, something around the 500 range would be ideal, because tendency is the mileage on those are not that high. The one that I got was 2012. It had around 40,000 kilometers, and during that time, 2018, yeah, we bought that for around 600,000 pesos, so it wasn't really that expensive. Now if I went for a Toyota or a Ford, you know, the same year model and similar mileage, I would be expecting around 800,000 back then, probably even 900 depending, especially if it's a Toyota. And so the price of a pre-owned D40 is probably something to consider if you're looking for a beater truck or a second-hand or, you know, a second truck, you know, something utility. Because you know, buying brand new, yes, there are advantages to buying brand new, but the benefits also from buying a pre-owned outweighs that of, you know, getting new. Okay, to sum things up, you know, I really like the D40 for its power, the powertrain, the transmission, the engine is really torquey, and plus it's still, that engine is still in production up to this day, so parts are readily available also. The overall design of the D40 is very plain, it's simple, it's not, there are not that many electronics, and since it was designed in the mid 2000s and it ended in 2015, at least here in Asia Pacific, so parts are abundant. And of course, cabin space, yeah, the comfort, cabin space is really spacious, and the seats are generously padded. And again, that D40, you know, responds really well to a lift kit, bigger tires, or yeah, even if it's just a 4x2, you know, why not? You know, for the sake of convenience also, or whatever purpose that you have in mind, or maybe to increase load capacity as well. So it responds really well to a quick lift, bigger tires, and of course, you know, body lift. And yeah, as is stock, you know, the ride quality is awesome, but ground clearance is, like, you know, not really that good, especially if you live here. And but the number one reason also is, of course, the price. Finding one nowadays is, you know, pretty easy. They're abundant. Just be careful though, you know, because most of the people who buy the Nissan D40 tend, you know, to keep them for long. And if ever you find one that is cheap, you know, be careful, because who knows, they might be, you know, really beat up, or they have undergone some, you know, serious workload, or the frame might have gone through a lot of stress. Because as what I've seen, you know, back in the day, even up to today, you know, these vehicles, these pickup trucks that we're talking about, are still running, and then a lot of people still stick to them because of their utility, practicality, and simplicity. Anyway, those are my 2 cents about the D40. You know, I hope you like this video. If you like it, you know, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want more content from me, you know the drill, you know, like and subscribe. So as always, hope to see you next time. Bye.